talking about the welfare of marginalized community and the various efforts that have been taken in the Indian society. So we would first focus on the welfare of marginalized community. We have Department of Social Justice and Empowerment under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, which has been constantly working for educational upliftment, for scholarships and for job prospects. Also, developmental intervention provisions for hostels have been some of the major ideas to focus and develop the marginalized section. There have been separate hostels for boys and girls of other backward classes. Similarly, we are also targeting some of the groups, for example, the scheduled caste, OBCs, senior citizens, then victims of alcohol, substance abuse, transgenders, beggars, and so on. Also, Department for Persons with Disability has been carved out under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and this gives a major functioning where they have various programs, policies, and schemes related to people for disability. Also, substance abuse, which falls under Ministry of De-Addiction, have been important. A national scheme has been formulated for the upliftment, and there have been a prevention strategy. Now, there are various categories of substance abuse. For example, we have depressants, hallucinogens. We also have the dissociative dexamethasone, and a kind of national toll-free number that is there for the promotion and understanding the development. So all these steps have been some of the important steps in this direction. Then rehabilitation of beggars have been important. National Institute of Social Defense has been working for those, and there has been a new scheme which has been released for rehabilitation in 2021. Also, the welfare of transgender, bringing health camps, welfare schemes, and employment opportunities have been a major idea. There has been working on the denotification, the semi-nomadic and the nomadic communities, how they can fulfill and live up to their expectations. When it comes to persons with disability, also the Divyangs, we have also numerous possibilities that have been increased. The number of types of disabilities that were so far included have been increased from 7 to 21. Also, reservation in the job have been increased from 3% to 4%, and in higher education from 3% to 5%. When it comes to purchasing equipments, fitting aids, appliances for them, there have been numerous distribution networks that have been made. Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan, which was launched in 2015, has been an important landmark step where nearly 345 international airports and the domestic airports now have accessible environment for the Divyangs, and there have been creation for specialized unique disability identity project, which would have a national database and would be implemented in all the states and union territories across India. Also, there has been investments on sign language, mental health rehabilitation, with the setting up of institutes at Sehor in Madhya Pradesh, which has been very important. The next is for disability sports. We have Artificial Limb Manufacturing Corporation of India, Elmico, which has signed a memorandum of understanding with London for modern wheelchairs. A new production center has been set up at Ujjain. Also, a fitting center has been established at Faridabad. Coming on to scholarships, there have been 6 components of scholarships for disabled students that has been released, which is pre-metric, post-metric, top class, national overseas, and national fellowship with free coaching. Equality at workplace and home has been assured. Similar to that, the next vulnerable group, when we talk about women, so there has been National Commission for Women. WhatsApp emergency helpline number has been released. There has been numerous projects run along with TIS to see the support mechanism for women victims of domestic violence, also to create a grievance redressal mechanism for the same, and issue of gender sensitization. Similarly, joint collaborative programs of National Legal Service Authority have been established. Cleaner cities has been one of the missions through which Swachh Sarvekshan and numerous developments for welfare and development in the cities have been taken forward with, which talks about regular uploading of the documents, the progress, and the validation of the data that has been coming up. The next is the efficient systems that have come up. Now, this is under 3 heads: the service, level progress, the citizen voice and the certification. Now, as we have seen, the number of cities under this have significantly increased, and the citizen feedbacks have increased from 1 lakh to 187 lakh, which is substantial. Also, we have following parameters on which Swachh Sarvekhan has been done, which talks about digitization, sustainable sanitation, citizens engagement and knowledge sharing platform. The progress under this has been significant. We can see the cities declared open defecation free have increased from 500 to nearly 4,000, and the progress of door to door waste collection also, which was negligible in 2014-15, has increased to 83,000. The waste segregation has increased significantly ward wise, and the progress in terms of processing of waste also has increased from 18% to 67%, which is a significant jump. When it comes to dignity of the labor and the social safety net, it has been a very important issue for mainly the waste pickers and the sanitation workers. Now, the recent extended producer responsibility for plastic waste is one of the steps in this direction, which we have covered in this month's Down to Earth 16 to 31st December edition. Also, enabling digitization has been one of the major ideas. So, Swachhata app, which is one of the grievance redressal tool, has been very important. Capacity building and knowledge sharing has been important. Under Swachh Sarvekhan, we have new 5-level achievements that have been given, which is the Divya, Anupam, Ujwal, Udit and Arohi, and 6 parameters have been selected for performance. Now, those would be available in the handouts as well, so you can just refer the handouts. Also, waste collection has been segregated as wet waste and dry waste. Dry waste in the blue bins, wet waste in the green bins. Then we talk about food for all. Food security, reducing poverty, more employment is one of the objectives. So how we can focus on the undernourished population, the malnourished population, and check out the issues of undernourishment. Now, why these undernourishment conditions exist? These are because of the household food insecurity, inadequate access to health care, and water sanitation issues. So bringing in more protein diet, getting better nutrition, reducing the issues of malnutrition. Also, global hunger index, which refers to the 4 components, have been important. We have covered global hunger index separately, and the competition has been important. So just to give a recap, we have undernourishment, child wasting, child stunting and mortality as the 4 factors. India's position has been still very low when it comes to the global hunger index. These are how the calculation for the global hunger index actually takes place, where you have undernourishment and child mortality with 1/3 weightage, and the child stunting and wasting with 1/6 weightage, and these are the values which are considered as extremely challenging in certain cases. India's rank is 102, which is far behind, so still there is a huge room for improvement. Also, if we talk about a vision for malnutrition free India, what are the things we need to take care for, especially the age group of 0 to 6 years, the stunting, wasting and underweight population. Improving the nutritional status has been important. Also, checking out the stunting, wasting and underweight population, we have very high prevalence of these issues in the state of Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Jharkhand. Checking those has been important. Also, coming on to the sustainable development goals, sustainable development goal 1 of no poverty and 2 of zero hunger have been important. So how sustainable development goal 2 can be met, and what are the indicators that have been responsible for it have been taken into account. The National Nutrition Mission, which is the Poshan Abhiyan, has been an important landmark in this direction. Besides this, we also focus on development of agriculture. So we have the Krishi Sinchai Yojana, Fasal Bima Yojana, the Kisan Samriddhi Yojana, the Kisan Sampada Yojana, which we have covered separately. The next important indicator is a multi-dimensional poverty index. Now, multi-dimensional poverty index talks about the overall poverty statistics that exist, and you have the steps for identification that have been mentioned. So it's basically at the relevant ministry level, then at the state level, and then categorizing the priorities. So if we talk about the multidimensional poverty index, it focuses on education, health, living standards, and all the parameters being broken down under 13 sub-parameters with a baseline data that has been taken into account. Also, we focus on an action plan and a national dimensional poverty index that has to be taken into account. There have been various reports that have been submitted. For example, Saxena committee report, which was mainly based on calorie intake as one of the ideas for understanding the poverty line. Later on, Suresh Tendulkar report, which talked about the basic minimum requirement of expenditure on food. Rangarajan committee, which talked about a new threshold for urban and rural areas that was devised, and understanding that there has been a significant deprivation that has been seen on the indicators of nutrition, sanitation, child mortality, drinking water in the countries like India, Peru, and Ethiopia, which is again an issue of concern. A significantly high multidimensional poverty has been seen under South Africa, and there has been a rainbow nation concept that has seen a drop, through which the efforts have been done to see a drop. The next is with linguistic heterogeneity, that means different languages being spoken across. There has been various challenges across India. For example, we have a huge population from Maharashtra speaking Marathi, from Gujarat speaking Gujarati, and similar goes for other regions. So when it comes to the Building and Other Construction Workers Act, those are in local language, but the migrants are flowing from other states. So there has been an issue of financial support for these workers. There have been various case studies that we have seen. Now these documentations, for example, in Maharashtra would be in Marathi. A laborer or migrant coming in from the state of UP or Bihar would face a severe difficulty. Also, the National Sample Survey on Education has talked about the emerging realities in terms of medium of instruction, which has become a major concern, and there has been a conversion from government schools which were run on regional languages to English schools, and now bilingual mode has been more popular. So, under National Education Policy, certain criteria have been taken into account where regional languages and preserving those along with bilingual mode has been focused. Inclusive and equitable education is no doubt a main idea behind development. When it comes to national institutions, we have various institutions and statutory bodies. For example, the Trust for Welfare of Persons, Empowerment of Persons with Multiple Disabilities, Intellectual Disabilities, or the Composite Regional Centers for persons with disability. The Kudumbashri Kerala and Jivika Bihar are some of the best examples which we have already understood in our previous lectures on Yojana, where we have talked about the pathways for poverty elevation and how these programs have been extremely successful. Also, checking out the issues with disability and the invisible disability, which is mainly the mental health, that has been increasing. The issues related to mental disabilities have been increasing, and only 0.06% of the budget goes for mental health, so that needs to be significantly increased. When we talk about invisible disabilities, those are mainly learning disability, autism, depression, sensory disorders, or any kind of cognitive disorders. There have been numerous stigmas associated to it, and India is actually facing a acute shortage of psychiatrists. We are in need of more than 11,000 psychiatrists and 54,000 mental health professionals in India. There have been a significant increase in the cases of invisible disabilities that have come into India. Also, there has been a need for innovation, bringing in technology and artificial intelligence, and bringing in the Gandhian concept of basic education, the Antodaya and the Sarvodaya concept. So moving from Antodaya to Sarvodaya, which is a holistic development of rural atmosphere, bringing in productive sectors which can be primary, secondary, or tertiary in nature, and a Gram Swaraj where villages become independent. Each village should have the Gomalas, which is the reservoir for cattle, a playground, and a center where people can actually earn. The next is a ideal village. Now ideal village, it is believed, would be around 1,000 population, which would be self-reliant, self-sufficient, and all the material that is required within the village could be produced by the village itself. The panchayats would settle the dispute which is anything internal to the section. There would be khadi and village industries that would be promoted, and there have been various views where Gandhi talked about appropriate technology. Shoemaker talked about the intermediate technology, which was a similar concept. So we need to understand there are three economic conditions. Either there is paucity, scarcity of something, there is sufficiency, or there is surplus. So economic condition of paucity or scarcity is not desirable, and also a surplus is not good. So we have to create an ideal balance, and in that line we would also need to understand there has to be issues for curbing the substance abuse, which has become very popular in the population, where 16 crore people are now consuming alcohol. A significant increase in the use of cannabis and opioids has been seen, and there have been numerous government de-addiction centers that have been streamlined. Legal aid have been increased, and people are now getting benefits out of the free legal aid through telelaws and telemobile apps. So those have been some of the major features that we have discussed in this section. We would be covering many interesting topics of Yojana and Kurukshetra on a monthly basis. So stay subscribed for further updates from our side. And if you have any doubts, questions, feel free to leave those in the comment section below. We would be more than happy to answer your queries and bring out videos on the topic required by you. Have a wonderful day ahead.